I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to break out of consciousness loops and unconscious programs. This is by far the thing that is going to set you back the most in your life, is when you get caught up in some pattern or some loop. There's many different things that can hold you back in life. Maybe you're not eating the right foods for your body. Maybe you're not having the right kind of relationships. Maybe you're not doing something that you feel you need to be doing. But all of these things usually stem from some sort of attachment to one state of consciousness. And I'm going to share with you in this video how to overcome this and make sure that you never fall into these traps and always have your sovereignty and stay connected to your power so that you can live the life that you actually want. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. It's also going to be in the comments of this video as well. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to break out of consciousness loops, as I call them, and unconscious programs, is to, number one, you gotta identify if you're in one to begin with. So a good place to start is to simply notice how you feel and also the results that you're getting in your life. Personally, for me, when I was stuck in what I call a consciousness loop, an ego loop, what happened is that it was a feeling of depression, if that's the word you want to use. Now, I use that word lightly because there's many different ways to describe what it feels like to be in a consciousness loop. But for me, I felt like, I guess you could say depression. I guess you could say it was a feeling of apathy, a feeling of being disconnected from my feelings, from spirit, from source, from being connected to this moment. It's like I was living in a delusion and I was trying to create certain experiences and do certain things in every single aspect of my life, in my diet, in my nutrition, in my relationships, in every single aspect of my life. I was forcing things, trying to create an experience that was out of alignment with how I actually felt, because I was swayed by some idea in the external world. And this is oftentimes what happens to a lot of people, is that they get lost in these programs and they get disconnected from their personal truth. So if you're feeling any sort of apathy, any sort of disconnection from this present moment, any sort of I'm not connected to how I really want to feel, what's happening, not that you necessarily have control over your feelings, but we'll get into that in a little bit, because on some level you kind of do, but it's tricky to communicate. So I'll share with you more in terms of what I mean by that in just a moment. But if you're really feeling like you're not feeling, if you're feeling disconnected, that's absolutely a huge sign that you're in a consciousness loop. You're some sort of an ego loop, because you're trying to control your feelings so much, trying to control the world so much. You're trying to control your state. For me, it was like controlling my vibration, right? I was trying to control my state. I'll be honest with you. The more that I tried to control my vibration, the worse that my life got. And I have a lot of videos talking about control your vibration. So, it's true on one level of consciousness. It can help you in certain ways. But to me, the more that I tried to control my state and to control how I feel and to control, mind, ego, if you want to call it that, because you could call it anything. We're just using the word consciousness loops and unconscious programs as one way to describe getting stuck in the mind, right? Running away from moving forward in your life, trying to attach to one state of consciousness, and this is the state that I need to be in. Right? That's a loop, and you need to avoid this at all costs in your life. Otherwise, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. Now, if you're in this space, well, how do you break out of this? Well, the second thing that I want to share with you in this video, which is really the first step to this process, in my experience, is to make a commitment to never stagnate ever again in your life. Never stagnate. Now, what does this mean? That might sound like an intense commitment, but here's what worked for me, is that what happened in my life is that I was always committed to diets, to ways of being, to people, and that's fine. I still have commitments in certain areas, depending. Right now, I don't really believe in diet. I just eat whatever I feel called to eat. Obviously, if I have a commitment with a client, or maybe if I am in a committed relationship with somebody or whatever, if I have that kind of relationship, what's gonna start to happen is that, yes, I'm gonna be committed to a person in that way. And commitments are fine. Commitments are completely fine. But what I want to share with you is that in my experience, what has allowed me to really step into my power was to make a decision to commit to my, not necessarily state, but to my groundedness in being, to my groundedness in who I am. So I'm never going to be committed at the end of the day really to any diet, to any person, to anything. And of course, if I have commitments, I will honor that and fully show up. But really at the core, at the end of the day, I'm not committed to anything in the external world. I'm committed to myself and my quote unquote state of consciousness first and foremost. And where that leads me, then those commitments can arise from that space of awareness. But really, I am committed first and foremost in my life to my state of consciousness, to my groundedness in my being. And I say state in this way because it's not necessarily a state. My feelings can change moment to moment. My feelings are always changing. Some days I'm a little bit more angry. Some days I'm a little bit more agitated. Some days I'm a little bit more emotional. Maybe some days I'm more in my comfort zone and not feeling as much. And I go there a little bit, and that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with the comfort zone. But overall, in the bigger picture, what allowed me to break out of these loops was to make a choice that my priority in my life is my groundedness in who I am. And what comes with this is automatically a commitment to not going into that space of what I call stagnating, where you're in some sort of a stagnating state where you're not committed to transforming. You're not committed to change. Like, I'm committed to change. I'm not just committed to one thing. If I need to change my diet, I'll change my diet if I feel called to change it. I'm here to be adaptable to the situation in life. I'm here to be adaptable to what this moment calls of me to do. And of course, from that space, I have commitments, and I'm the type of person to show up. If I say I'm going to show up on a call with you, I'm going to show up on that call. Like 99.9% of the time, unless something is really going on, I need to do something, then maybe I'll change. And I'll let you know in advance if I have to do that. But if I'm going to show up on that call, if I say I'm going to show up on a call, I'm going to show up on that call. I'm the type of person, I record a video every single day. And that's what I say, and that's what I do. I tell you that I record a video every single day, and so that's what I do every single day. Doesn't matter how I feel. Doesn't matter what's happening in my life. Doesn't matter if one day I feel like it, one day I don't feel like it. Doesn't matter. I've committed to recording these videos daily. But that commitment naturally arose as a result of my commitment to myself and being grounded in who I am. You see what I'm saying? So the commitments in the external come from that space of actually realizing that I've made a commitment to myself never to go into that state of consciousness where I'm stuck in a loop. If I notice my life force energy getting drained, getting disconnected, not feeling connected to who I am, I immediately make a change in my life and tell myself that, you know what, I've been in this space before. I know what it's like to be in these loops. I know what it's like to be in these programs. No. I just say no. I've made a choice to not go back into that space. And you need to make this choice if you want to be consistently transforming in your life and changing and growing and becoming more of who you really are. You cannot be committed to your comfort zone. Okay? You cannot be committed to your comfort zone. If you are, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with this, but I'm going to tell you that that choice is going to lead to a lot of suffering in my experience. When you're committed to your comfort zone, when you're committed to not feeling your emotions, when you're committed to being the same, because that's a choice. It's a choice to be the same. It's a choice to recreate the same experiences again and again. That is a choice. I've made a choice not to do that, to not attach to one state, to be adaptable to the moment, to be adaptable to what's happening. What's not working? Be honest about those results. Be honest about what's not working in your life. Be honest about, is this state of consciousness helping me to get to where I want to go? No. Then change something. Change something about your experience. You need to change something. If it's not what you change, it can be this is usually what people need to transform, which is to change the place that you're coming from. And that's really what I'm inviting you here in this video to do. I'm not inviting you to commit to anything in the external world. I'm inviting you to commit to your consciousness. Commit to your consciousness. First and foremost, commit to yourself. Commit to yourself that you are the type of person that does what they say they're going to do. Commit to yourself that you're the type of person that shows up every single day powerfully for yourself, whatever that means to you. Maybe it means you sleep 14 hours. The other day I slept 14 hours. I slept 14 hours. I felt no guilt. I felt no shame. And that's exactly what I needed. In fact, how I could expand my energy system and feel the most expanded and the most connected and the most aligned, it might sound a little bit funny to you, but I needed to have that sleep. I needed to sleep for those 14 hours, and I'm glad that I did, because that's something that I would not let myself do a long time ago. And I would be committed to this diet because I need to do this, I need to commit to this person, commit to this thing, commit to this, yet I'm not getting the results that I want. But when I committed to myself first and trust what I need, which was that day it was 14 hours of sleep, my energy increased and things started to move forward again for me. That's just one example. So this comes from making a decision to be committed to yourself first and foremost, what this means to you, which is to make a choice that you are never going to let yourself stagnate ever again. And I want to make this clear. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being in your comfort zone. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with taking some time off to rest. I'm saying you make a choice to never stay there for too long where you notice that it's not serving you anymore. Sometimes being in your comfort zone genuinely is serving you, but then it stops serving you. And you know from wisdom and experience that staying in that space is not a wise choice. So what do? You go through this back and forth pattern of being stuck in your comfort zone for a long time and then making a change, and then coming into that, and then being in your comfort zone for a long time, and then making a change and being committed to that, back and forth, self-sabotage, create what I want, self-sabotage, create what I want, blow it all up, lose it, go back to self-sabotage. See, this is a loop. You need to break that loop, accept who you are now, and just do what you want to do moment to moment. Then you'll notice in the grand scheme of things, you're starting to transform again. You're starting to change again. Actual change, not just recreating exactly the same experience seemingly every single day. We're trying to avoid this at all costs. At least that's what I'm inviting you to do in this video. And not necessarily at all costs, but really for me it's at all costs because I see the cost of being in that space. There's a cost to being in this space too, about expanding and growing. But the cost of being in that space to me personally is much worse than the cost of expanding and becoming who I really want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like being in that space is a huge consequence to me, and I'm not willing to go there. And that's a choice that I've made, and that's what helped me to break out of these consciousness loops and unconscious programs, is to realize that I just don't want to be there. First of all, to notice what's happening, and then to say, I don't want to be there anymore. And just simply make a choice to say no to that level of consciousness, to that reality. And this is what most people don't talk about on YouTube. Most people don't talk about choosing your state of consciousness as a way to empower yourself and naturally commit to the things you need to in the external world from that space, quite naturally. And now the third thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to break out of consciousness loops and unconscious programs, it's a number 3, what you really need to break out of this loop that you're in, if you're in one. Because what I just shared with you may not resonate completely, because maybe it's like, okay, well, you've taught me about an overall perspective about not how to go back into that space. What if I'm already in that space right now? How do I break out of this loop? Here's what you need. You need a pattern interruption. That's what you need. You need to interrupt the patterns that you're in and stop doing the same thing every single day in the exact same way. If you're not willing to change what you do, at least you have to change the way that you do it. And it's not even at least, usually that's the big thing that people miss, is to interrupt the way that they're doing something, to change something about the patterns that they're in. So if you're in some sort of a pattern, you have to change the place that you're coming from. You have to do it in a different way. And if not in a different way, you have to do something completely different and change your life completely. But most of the times it's not even about that. It's about just changing how you're doing it. So let me give you an example. You can go for a walk in the exact same way, the exact same path. You can have the same movements and be really committed to just being in your comfort zone. But you can go for a walk outside in a slightly different way. Or maybe let's say you go for a walk on the stairs and you do it in the most comfortable way possible, and you're staying in your comfort zone and you stay in what feels safe to you. Because you could also, go up a step of stairs consciously, making it a little bit more difficult for yourself and challenging like the way you walk and the way you move your feet by like engaging your muscles on your legs or whatever. How you're doing it has changed. Same action seemingly different place that you're coming from. You've done it in a different way, which will get you a different result. And the moment that you are courageous enough and fearless enough to do something different, you'll realize from that new space, like, oh yeah, I was completely attached to doing that thing in that way, and that was holding me back for 15 years, or whatever it is for you. But the only way to transcend that is to break out of that. Like, so a perfect quote that comes to mind is, you cannot fix a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. Okay, I'm gonna say that one more time. You cannot fix a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. You have to expand your awareness. You have to expand your consciousness. What does this mean? This means becoming more conscious of different paths, different areas that you can go down, different things that you can do, different ways of being. And you have to open yourself up to that possibility. You have to quite literally open yourself up to see something that you may have not seen before. And this is how you break the pattern. This is how you break the loop, is stop doing the same things and doing them in the same way. You don't necessarily always, again, need to change what's happening. You need to change sometimes just the place that you're coming from, how you do it. You know, you might need to just make a small change about how you're doing something, and that can be exactly what you need to literally have a breakthrough. That's what it was for me. You know, I used to have really, really bad health issues. Really bad health issues. My skin was absolutely a mess. I had something called eczema, where my skin was absolutely terrible. And I believe that a big reason why this was happening to me was because I was stuck in a loop, and my body was reflecting that to me. Most people won't talk about this, but I'm here to talk about it right now. My body was reflecting to me the fact that I was stuck in a loop. I was stuck in a loop, and I was trying to fix it with diet, with exercise, with movement, and all these things. Nothing was working for me. I tried every diet. I tried all the different diets. I tried every single diet. I tried all these different ways of moving my body. I tried walking more. I tried walking less. And nothing was working for me. But what made that shift? What made that shift was a choice to do what I'm doing differently. How I'm doing it. I decided to do that differently. My health increased. Everything shifted for me. My life got 10x better, 50x better. My skin got consistently better every single day. And my health still does consistently get better every single day. Every single day. Because I've committed to not stagnating. And I believe that's what was the core of my health issues. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a professional, but I believe that was the core, was a choice, even though it was an unconscious choice that I didn't realize at the time that I was making, but it was a choice to be committed to my comfort zone. That's what was happening. I was stuck in my life in every single area because I was committed to my comfort zone. And then maybe another month I would be committed to change. And then change everything. And then I would just go right back into my comfort zone. Now I would say I'm in a little bit more of a state of balance, where I honor the comfort zone, but I also honor the expansion. And I'm somewhere right in the middle, where, you know, I honor that the comfort zone is fine, but I also honor that if I stay there for too long, then problems will arise. But I also honor that if I try to change too much, then I just go right back into my comfort zone, and that's not sustainable either. So I'm what you call right in the middle, which you know, some people call this the discomfort zone, the uncomfort zone. If you're all the way over here, that's what you call the panic zone. Too much change, too much transformation, trauma. You're gonna get traumatized. Comfort can also be traumatizing in its own way, because you're just like stuck. You're stuck in this state that you don't want to be in, and that can be really depressing. But when you're honoring both sides of life, what you've done is you've entered a state of balance and wholeness and harmony with the universe, which basically means that you are committed to continually flowing with life and transforming, and not getting stuck in one state. And once you realize this, it's pretty hard to go back to getting stuck in a consciousness loop. It might still happen, like life can happen. I would like to say that I'm at a point of no return, and that it's pretty much impossible for me to go back into that space permanently. But life can happen, and who knows what's going to happen to me. I can fall into an unconscious loop and convince myself that I'm in that loop. And of course, there'll be a conscious choice, and I'll convince myself that I need to be there when I don't. But, you know, if it happens, it happens. But I would like to say that I'm at a point of no return, because I see that level of consciousness is just simply not a wise choice to make, to say the least. Okay, and that's pretty much all I have for this video. Leave a comment down below if this video was supportive for you in any way, if this was helpful for you in any way to break out of the loops that you're in, or any insight that maybe you needed to not go back into loops that you were already that you were in the past, or maybe you're in now, or whatever. I would love to hear what you have to say, and I read every single comment. Also, once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. It's also going to be in the comments of this video as well. Also, please hit that like button for me so that more people can get access to this content, because I do believe that every single person on this planet does deserve to know that they are divine creators of their reality, and that they can manifest their reality and do so in the most effortless and easily possible, helping themselves and helping others in the process as well. And hitting that like button does help the YouTube algorithm push the videos out to more people, and that would be greatly appreciated. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.